Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in the previous session, I have briefly discussed about 3D series elements, that is scandium, okay, scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper and zinc. So that is atomic number what? Atomic number 21, atomic number 21 to 30. What are the elements? Scandium to zinc, Zn. Okay, so I have covered the ores, or you can say the minerals of these transition elements, first series, or you can say 3D series elements. Now in this session I am going to begin with the general characteristics of D block elements. Okay, yes, what are the topic here? General characteristics of D block elements. Yes, these D block elements are going to exhibit various properties. That too, there will be periodicity in their properties. Well, we discuss one by one. Well, here, if you consider the general characteristic properties in general, okay, generally the D block elements are going to form complexes. Okay, these D block elements have a tendency of forming complexes. Yes, why they have a tendency of forming complexes means, so when you look at their valence shell, okay, when you look at their valence shell, they are going to have large number of, okay, these D block elements are going to have large number of empty shells, which means what I can say if we consider D block elements, these D block elements are going to have large number of empty shells. What is the use of these empty shells? Yes, these empty shells readily occupy, okay, these empty shells, they readily occupy the, okay, occupy the what? Occupy electrons. Electrons of what? Donors, okay, donor species, which means these, they have a tendency, these D block elements have a tendency of accepting electron. Okay, therefore there will be formation of a bond between those donor atoms with the D block elements. Okay, therefore the resultant compounds formed are the complexes, which means due to availability of large number of vacant d orbitals, or you can see empty shells, they show a tendency of forming complexes. Therefore we say is one of the general characteristics of transition element. What is that? They have a tendency of forming complexes, or I can say simply they form complexes is one of the general property. Okay, next, they have high melting and boiling point. Since D block elements, what we say, D block elements are metals, right? The D block elements are metals. Then what type of bonding exists? There exists a metallic bond. Metallic bond exists among the atoms of a D block element. Therefore, as there exists a metallic bond is strong or weak? Is generally it is a strong bond, right? It is a strong bond. Therefore, more and more energy required to break the metallic bond, which means we are saying these to show high melting and boiling point. So what happens during melting? There will be phase changes. Even during boiling, there will be change in the phases. So melting, solid to liquid. Okay, boiling andre liquid to gaseous state. For this phase change, what they have to overcome? They have to overcome these strong forces of attraction exist among the atoms of those d block element. Therefore we say, as there exists a metallic bond which is a strong bond, to break the metallic bond more and more energy needed. Therefore we say they have high melting and boiling point. So is one of the, is another general characteristics of a transition elements. So first what we said, they form complexes. What is the cause for this? Yes, it is because of availability of large number of empty orbitals. Okay, well, second characteristic we said, they have high melting and boiling point. So what is the cause here, or what is the reason for it? Since there exists a metallic bond which is a strong bond, to break the metallic bond, more energy to be supplied. Hence, they show high melting and boiling point values. Okay, well, the next one, in most of the cations of a transition metals, in most of the cations of a transition metals, cation anta yake ಹೇಳ್ತಿದೀವಿ, since these are d block elements are Okay, these d block elements are also electropositive. Electropositive. Okay, these d block elements are also electropositive in nature, means they have a tendency of losing one or more electrons. Well, in most of the cations of a transition metals, they have unpaired electrons. Say for example, I will consider manganese. Okay, Mn, what is our number, atomic number? Okay, 25. If you look at the electronic configuration, argon 3d5 4s2 is the electronic configuration. If you consider Mn 3 plus, Mn 3 plus means, now what I can say, argon, okay, 3d4 4s0. Now if you analyze their orbital diagrams, say d block, how many orbital? 5, 1 2 3, so 1 2 3 4, so 5 4s, one single square box. Now, if you wish to draw the electron, d5 means how many electron? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3d5, 4s2. Okay, well, then if we consider Mn3 plus, say in Mn3 plus again, if I consider 5 orbitals, d subshell and 4s, 1 orbital. So, how many electrons are there in d? 4. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4s0 means there is no electron, which means what I want to say is, if we consider in its a cationic form, yes, most of the cations of a transition elements, what they have unpaired electrons. They are going to have one or more unpaired electrons. See here, in case of Mn, how many unpaired electrons? There are five unpaired electrons. In Mn3 plus, there are four unpaired electrons. As like, if you consider most of the in most of the cations of these transition elements, they are going to have more number of unpaired electrons. Well, this is one of the characteristics. Then, if you consider other general characteristics, say they show, means these d block elements, they are going to exhibit high density. They are going to have high density. Okay, malleability. The d block elements, they show high density. The density is high. Malleability, okay, they show malleable nature. They show ductility and possess metallic luster, means they have a shiny surface, brighter surface, and they are good conductors. They are good conductors of heat and electricity. So here we collaborated all the properties. Like, what are those? They show they are going to have high density, they show malleable nature, they show ductility, they possess high metallic luster, they are good conductors of heat and electricity, is the most common characteristics of a all d block elements. Just I repeat, what is the sentence we are looking for? They show high density. Density is too high, that is generally high compared to S block elements, and they show malleable nature, they show ductile nature, they possess metallic clusters, they are good conductors of heat and electricity. And there is an exception, whether all D block elements are going to exhibit these properties. No. What is the exception? Except zinc, cadmium, mercury, and copernicium. So where we observe these elements, they are the ending elements, right? These zinc, cadmium, mercury, and copernicium. What are these? They are the ending elements. Yes, in the last session I have considered starting element and ending element of each series. So these are the ending elements. Ending elements of 3D series, 4D series, 5D series, and 6D series respectively. Okay, so in these ending elements, okay, they do not possess the properties like having high density, malleable nature, ductile nature, metallic cluster, and conducting nature. Okay, yes, there is an exception. So in generally these d block elements are going to exhibit high density, malleable nature, ductile nature. They show metallic clusters, and they are good conductors of heat and electricity. Please remember, what is the exception? Except zinc, cadmium, mercury, and copernicium. Or else generally we remember ending elements of each series. Okay, well, next general characteristic is they form organometallic compounds. Okay, they form a organometallic compounds. The well-known organometallic compounds is, say, how we are going to exhibit RMgX. So they are going to form a organometallic compounds. Next one, they have a strong metallic bond. Since what exists, there exists a metallic bond among the d block atoms of a d block element. Therefore, we say they have a strong metallic bond. A metallic bond exists among the atoms of a d block element, and they even show the catalytic properties. Catalytic property means, yes, they used to these d block elements, and even their compounds. Okay, d block elements can be used, or even in some cases their compounds. Usually, their oxides. Okay, their compounds can be used as a catalyst. Okay, they are used as a catalyst in various reactions, catalytic reactions. Therefore, we say they possess catalytic property. Why they show, which why we are saying they show catalytic property means they are going to alter. They are going to, okay, they are going to alter the rate of a reaction. Okay, they are going to alter the rate of a reaction. Hence we are saying these d block elements and their compounds, they show catalytic property. Therefore they are used as a catalyst in various reactions. Okay, well, if you consider 1 kg of cotton and 1 kg of, okay, iron. So well, just look at the question, which has more weight? Okay, what is the question here? Which has more weight? One of 1 kg of, that is out of 1 kg of cotton and 1 kg of iron. If someone asks you which has more weight, then what is your answer? Yes, your answer is, since we are saying 1 kg of cotton and 1 kg of iron, right? So what will be our answer? Both are going to have equal in weight, right? Yes, the correct answer. Well, now if you rearrange or reframe the question like this, say which one is more dense, instead of saying which is having more weight, now if we ask which one is more dense. So for this question, what would be our answer? Yes, answer is iron. So out of 1 kg of cotton and 1 kg of iron, iron is more dense. Iron is more dense than 1 kg of cotton, right? Why we are saying, or what is the basis for this answer? Yes, so we are, it is based on a simple relation between three quantities. What is that? Density. Okay, we know the formula, a well-known formula, density is equal to mass divided by volume, which means here, say mass is kept constant, right? Mass, what is 1 kg we said, which means what is the relation? Density is inversely proportional to volume, which means volume is less. If volume is less, density is more, or else vice versa. Or what I can say, if density is more, volume is less. If volume is more, density will be less, right? So both are inversely proportional. So with help of this relation, one can say here, since volume of this 1 kg of iron is less, therefore which is more denser compared to volume of 1 kg of cotton. So in general, if we compare the density, so if you make a statement like this, say the d block elements are denser than s block elements of nearly same mass. So what is the statement we are making? The d block elements, are denser, more denser than s block elements of nearly same masses. Then what does it mean? What it indicates? Say the volume, that is volume means, in this case what we have to say, atomic volume, the atomic volume of d block elements. So what is the relation between density and volume? Inversely proportional. So d block elements, if they have more dense, which means what about atomic volume? Atomic radius, or I can say atomic volume, will be small. Okay, so atomic volume, or I can say atomic radius of d block elements is small as compared to s block elements. Therefore these d block elements are more denser compared to s block. Okay, well, now further, what we can conclude here, the density of block elements is greater than s block elements. What is the reason? Since the atomic volume is less, hence density is more. Okay, well, now Further, we said here regarding variation of density in a periodic table. So while dealing with the periodic table chapter, or I can say periodic trend, or I can say periodic properties of the elements, we used to say density increases. Okay, density of the element, okay, density goes on increasing from left to right across a period. So if you consider variation of density, the density goes on increases. Why density increases means the atomic volume decreases. Okay, atomic volume, or I can say atomic radius decreases, hence density increases. Well, why the atomic radius decreases? It is because of increase in the nuclear charge. So all these things are interrelated. Okay, now, so we are familiar with the two, okay, physical states of a matter, say solid and a liquid. Say in case of solid, if you think of arrangement of particles are arranged, says particles are closely packed, or I can say they are tightly arranged. So is the arrangement of particles in a solid. Here there is no much space between the particles are tightly arranged, or we can say closely arranged. On the other hand, if you go for liquids, so in case of liquids, what we say here, particles are loosely arranged or loosely packed. Means there is a much intermolecular space or interstitial space exists between the particles. So if you consider solid, particles are tightly arranged. If you consider liquid, particles are loosely arranged. Well, now think of converting a solid into phase changes. So whenever a solid is subjected for heating, on heating what happens? Solid is get converted into liquid state, right? So the conversion of solid state of a matter, okay, solid state of a matter into its liquid state is called melting point, right? Is a melting process, and that temperature is called melting point. Now, when an heat is supplied to a solid, okay, when solid is subjected for heating process, what happens? Solid will be get converted into liquid. If that conversion is, okay, if the conversion is easy, so what I'm saying or what I'm specifying here, when solid is subjected for heating, if it get converted to liquid with ease means without any much difficulty, okay, say solid is get converted into liquid with ease, then what we are saying, that a solid is going to show a low melting point. Okay, if solid is easily converted, or I can say readily converted into liquid state, which means the solid is going to have very low melting point values. So on the other hand, so when solid is subjected for heating, okay, this conversion takes place, is get converted into liquid. If it conversion takes place with difficulty, okay, the conversion, if the conversion takes place with difficulty, then what we are saying, such solids are going to have high melting point. Means the conversions, whenever solid is heated, if it converted into liquid with ease, then such solids are going to have low melting point. On the other hand, if the conversion is takes place with difficulty, then we say such solids are going to have high melting point. Okay, well, now in the first case, okay, when solid is heated, if it convert into liquid with ease, then in such solids, what we are saying, the the interatomic strength is weak, therefore they readily converted into liquid, and they used to have low melting point values. Okay, on the other hand, if the inverse, that conversion takes place with difficulty, then what happens? It is because the interatomic strength is strong, therefore the conversion takes place with difficulty, and such solids are going to show high melting point values. Okay, which means that melting point depends on what? It depends on the interatomic strength. If interatomic strength is weak, they used to have low melting point. If the interatomic strength is more, then they used to show high melting point values. Okay, well, now, so in case of transition elements, coming to the transition elements, so what we are saying, it is expected that, okay, it is expected that the melting point goes on increasing. So in case of solids, sorry, in case of transition elements, what we are expecting, the melting point should go on increasing from left to right. Well, what we observe actually, if you plot a graph of melting point, Okay, melting point of transition elements with the respect to atomic number. So we consider the first three series. First series, that is 3D series, 4D series, and 5D series. That is first transition series, second transition series, and third transition series. So what we are analyzing here graph. So in a graph, what we are observing, so initially, if you consider the first transition series, titanium, okay, so titanium, vanadium, chromium. What is the graph? So it shows increase, right? There is an increase in the melting point values. As atomic number increases, melting point value also increases. So chromium. What is the next member? Manganese. So what it shows, after chromium there is a decrease in the melting point. As atomic number increases, but okay, melting point decreases. Manganese to iron, it's a slight increase. Thereafter, there is a melting point goes on decreases till copper. So what we are observing in a graph means the melting point. So the melting point initially what happens? Initially goes on increasing. If you consider all three series, say initially what happens? The melting point goes on increases. As atomic number increases, melting point also goes on increases. But thereafter goes on decreasing steadily. After that what happens to the rest of the members? Melting point goes on decreases. Well, so why there is a variation? Why there is such variation in the melting point of transition elements means the reason for it is, yes, the reason for this type of behavior is that up to D5 configuration, up to D5 configuration. Okay, when you look at the electronic configuration, you can notice that up to D5 configuration, the number of electrons go on increasing. What happens? Say up to d5, what happens? Number of electrons, or I can say number of unpaired electrons goes on increases. Well, if number of unpaired electrons increases, what happens? If number of unpaired electrons are more, okay, the metallic bonding also increases. Say what I'm specifying here, up to d5 configuration, as number of electrons increases, number of unpaired electrons also increases. Therefore the metallic bonding increases. So that this, as the metallic bonding increases, what about melting point also goes on increases. Okay, well, after d5, now if you analyze after D5 configuration, what happens? After D5 configuration, these things, number of electrons decreases, number of unpaired electrons also decreases. Therefore, the bond strength decreases, or I can say metallic bond strength decreases. Therefore, melting point goes on decreases. So why we are analyzing that variation in the melting point of transition element means after D5 configuration, what happens here? After D5 configuration, the number of electrons go on increasing. Number of electrons increases. But what about number of unpaired electron? Number of unpaired electrons decreases. Okay. Total number of electron increases, no doubt, but we are thinking of number of unpaired electrons. This number of unpaired electron decreases, and it in turn leads to decrease in the metallic bond. That metallic bond gets weaker, hence melting point goes on decreases. So it is the reason here. So if we consider melting point of a transition elements, up to D5 increases, and after D5 metallic, okay, sorry, the melting point goes on decreases. Well, yes. Then coming to the MCQs, the most unstable electron configuration out of the following is, so empty, half filled, completely filled, okay, incompletely filled. What they are asking, unstable electronic configuration. Empty means there is no case of stability. Half filled and completely filled are more stable, right? So they are asking unstable, so it must be an incomplete, incompletely filled configuration. Yes, what is the answer? D, incompletely filled. Well, the next one, which of the following property is not shown by transition elements? Just go through the statement. What's the question here? Which of the following property is not shown by the one which is not shown by transition elements? First look for the options. Ductility, good conductor of heat and electricity, malleability, and glowing in dark. Say malleability, ductility, yes, is the characteristic property of a transition elements. Good conductors of heat and electricity, yes, it is also characteristics of a transition element. What is the question here? Not shown by transition elements. Yaudu torsala andre. Yes, it is the glowing in dark. Yes, just remember it is a property of what? It is a property of usually radioactive elements. Okay, the glowing in dark is usually a radioactive elements. Is a property of a radioactive element. So here, yes, what is the answer? There's a fourth is the answer, which is not shown by transition elements. Okay, well, next one. Transition elements are more dense as compared to S block. Means D block elements are more denser than S block elements. First option true. Second option cannot be predicted. Third option false. And fourth option variable. Yes, what is the answer? True. Transition elements are more denser as compared to S block elements. Right? Well, next one. Why does the density of transition elements increases from left to right? Left to right transition elements density ಯಾಕೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇದೆ. Why does the density of transition element increases from left to right? First, due to decrease in size, it is true, size decreases left to right. Due to increase in nuclear charge, yes, it is also true, nuclear charge increases from left to right of a periodic table. Then due to poor shielding effect, yes, it is also true, shielding effect goes on, decreases. Then fourth one, all of the above. Yes. What is the question here? Why does the density of transition elements increases from left to right? Yes. What is the answer here? All of the above. Yes, it is due to as size decreases, nuclear charge increases, and poor shielding effect. These are the reason for going to have high density. Okay. Well. Okay. With this, I'm going to conclude about this session. Again, in the next session, we continue the other part.